Hi, this is Helen from crystals-and-crochet.com. Today I would like to show you how I make an invisible join, both with a chain start and also with a standing stitch. Once you've finished your last stitch, cut your yarn, leaving yourself a nice long tail, and just pull all the way through so that your yarn is coming up through the center of the stitch here. Thread onto a yarn needle. Okay, so this one first is with a standing stitch. Take the tail end and just hold it down by the side of that first stitch. Now a standing stitch already has this top loop exactly the same as all of the other stitches, so we're going to work over that to create a new 2 top loops. Okay, so into the second stitch from back to front and just under those top 2 loops. Pull your yarn through, pinch that first standing stitch and your last stitch together, and just pull through so that what's now going to be the back loop of your stitch is exactly the same size as the others. We're then going to put the needle down through the top of the stitch, going under the back loop and also under that third loop as well, and pull through so that it's exactly the same size as all of those other stitches. Flip your work over slightly, and you're now going to go down through the top of the standing stitch all the way down to the bottom. Pull through, but don't pull too tightly because you need to keep all of these loops exactly the same size all the way along. Your yarn's already on your needle, so you may as well work away your ends behind there. Okay, so that's how we make an invisible join over a standing stitch. If you look at any normal stitch, you have your 2 top loops here, and if I pull that apart you can see the third loop goes on a very slight diagonal behind and into the stitch. So if we come back to where we've made our invisible join, you can see we've got exactly the same thing, and that third loop running behind there is because we've gone underneath that third loop, diagonally across and down through that stitch. So we can't tell where we've joined. Particularly when you're working on the last round of any project and you want a really neat, even finish, this is the perfect way to achieve that. Okay, so now I will show you exactly the same process but with working into a chain start. So here we've got a chain 3 that counts as our first double crochet in a round. If we were to join with a slip stitch here, we'd pull that up like that, and what we end up with, because the chain then twists sideways, we end up with this sort of skinny looking stitch, whereas when we make an invisible stitch the chain will stay flat, and as it joins together it will be the same width as all the other stitches. Okay, so exactly the same process. Into the second stitch, underneath those top 2 loops, from back to front. Pull it through, pinch that chain start, which counts as your first stitch and your last stitch together, down through the centre of the stitch, under the third loop at the back, and then down through the chain, and gently pull it down so that it's exactly the same as all of those other stitches. And then when we look to the front, that chain start is much less visible than if it was twisted over to the side with a slip stitch join. Okay, so that is how we make an invisible join. Thanks for watching.